Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lady K Chat Podcast. I am your host, Lady K, and today I will be talking about part two of domestic violence along with my guest, Chandra Payne. Today, we just want to continue to bring awareness to one of the biggest issues in this world. Please tune in at 6 p.m. is vital information, and we all can do our part.
The following podcast is a Lady K Enterprises production.
Lady K.
Welcome, and thank you for tuning in to Lady K Chat, a podcast that is designed for all women to become better versions of themselves, which is broadcast every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Various subjects will be speaked upon, such as relationships, personal development, health and wellness, wealth building, children, and so much more. She is a two-time Amazon best-selling author, an international speaker, and life coach. She is Kalima, aka Lady K. And now for your host, Lady K.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to part two of DV Domestic Violence. If you missed part one, please listen to part one so you can tune into part two. And Sandra was just about to give us the 411. So, Sandra, let's pick it back up what you was about to say about the abusers and how, they like the isolation. And I'm going to let you finish the rest.
Sure. I think we were talking about the importance of having a plan.
Right.
Yes, when you are attempting to leave your abuser, a plan is not you just, packing your bag right then and there and saying, I'm going to leave, because unfortunately, that's when a lot of the violence can happen, when the victim is attempting to leave the abuser. A plan looks like maybe it's saving some money, or having someone that you trust save some money for you. Or, it's letting someone that you trust know about the abuse. And so when you are ready to leave, you already have everything lined up, a shelter where you're going to stay, a hotel, wherever it is, because, each plan is going to be specific to that victim and the needs of that victim. Right. So it's important to have a plan, because the plan is what's going to protect you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I agree about that. And it's kind of interesting that you're bringing up the point of the strategy and the planning of everything. And I kind of want to bring this awareness to everyone right now, because we are dealing in a time with COVID-19. This is the time where I honestly believe that domestic violence will be high, because we are all secluded from one another. So because we can't see the person, we don't know what they're going through. Chandra and I would both like to encourage you to take some key things into place. When you are speaking to your friends or your loved ones over the phone, things that you can take cue in, you can pay attention to, and just give that support. But one of the things I want to mention is that try to do as much virtual chatting as much as possible, meaning like Zoom or FaceTime or Facebook Messenger, whatever the software is, it doesn't matter. If you can if you even have a even hint that you think somebody is going through something, just say, hey, can we FaceTime? Can I see your face? Because I miss you, and just observe them. Watch for any marks for them. Watch for the words that they're saying. I think that's really important. What about you, Sandra?
Yeah, that is true. And the other thing that I would say is, when you are talking to your loved ones, whether it's over the phone, whether it's audio or on camera, that just be mindful of what you say, because you never know, even though they are talking to you, you never know if the abuser is sitting in the background listening. Right. So you have to be really careful of what you say. Maybe come up with some code words, or specific things that you and the victim have discussed prior, so that that if they need help or if they're in trouble. Because one of the worst things that you could do is say, oh my God, did he do that to you? and he's sitting right there listening.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of the times we just think that domestic violence or assault, we just think it's physical. People have no idea that psychological is just as big as physical. And there's other ones too, but just keep that in mind too, because sometimes, like I said, we might be observing for the abuses and stuff like that, but if they are on the phone with you and then you notice that, they get quiet around that other person, or, if they're in their face, they can't talk like they want to, or you notice that, they change their tone. Those are key things too. Those
Yeah.
are very key.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said before, the finances, people don't realize that finances control, that's a part of domestic violence. Sexual assault. Some women think, oh, this is my husband, and I have to. No, not in the way that it's being done, because I know there are some times where some husbands are just forceful, and it's not nice.
Yeah.
It's not nice at all. So, these are just some of the key things that I just want you to pay attention to. And just, again, we're just bringing awareness to you. What about you, Chandra? Is there anything else that they need to take key on?
Yeah, you mentioned a couple of, I'm so glad you brought that up. You mentioned a couple of things that we need to be aware of as well. It's physical violence, physical abuse is easier to spot, right?
Right.
A bruise or a cut or a scratch. That is much easier to spot. We have to be mindful of the other types of abuse, like you just mentioned, the sexual abuse. Some people can be really forceful, right? Or maybe even taunt the victim, or they may force the victim to have unwanted sex, whether it's with them or someone else. Mm-hmm. The other thing that I want to mention that we don't talk about enough is the abuser that has multiple affairs, right? They have multiple affairs with other people, and then will turn around and use that to belittle the victim, to degrade the victim. Well, if you would perform, for example, they may say things like, well, if you would perform this particular sexual act on me, then I wouldn't have to go outside our home. If you would dress and wear this lingerie or do such and such and such, then I wouldn't be looking on the outside. And for those ladies who have had kids, it may look like this. Well, you gained 50 pounds after you had our children, so you're not sexy anymore. Maybe you should lose some weight, right? So we need to be aware of the different types of abuse and what it may look like, because sometimes we'll say, oh, well, there's physical abuse and there's sexual abuse, but what does that sexual abuse look like? What does emotional abuse look like, right? We have to be very specific, because someone may be living with that right now and don't even know it. They may, just hearing this message, they may think, oh my God, my boyfriend has had 10 affairs, right? I didn't realize that was abuse.
And you know what else I wanted to chime in and say? It is sad, but I want to tell you what these predators do, because they are predators. You got to remember, the predator needs a prey. So he preys on vulnerable women. This is why it is so important for us to encourage and uplift our sisters. This is why she needs to have her own self-worth. This is why she needs to have her own confidence, because if you don't, they go after the woman like that. But I'm going to say this too. It's kind of sad. Sometimes it leads to this, but I noticed some people who are survivors, when they come out of this, that build them up, that made them stronger and more wiser. And it's like, you know what? I understand it, but I don't want that anymore. I don't want these women to have to go through this just so they can just build their confidence up, build themselves up, so they know, not to be with these type of men. It's like, no, let's educate you now, woman. Now, this is why we need you to take key on what we're saying. Love yourself, baby girl.
Yes.
Do the inside work.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, go ahead, Chandra. The floor is yours.
No, I'm sorry. I got so excited. I'm sitting in my chair like, yes, love yourself.
Yes.
I got
Yes, because
way
I
too
once
excited.
was that little naive little girl, so I definitely understand.
Hmm. Yeah, that is key. We also have to look at once, if you have been a victim and now you are a survivor, I think it's really important. This is why we have support groups. This is why we have conversations and
Right,
discussions around domestic violence, because I think it's really important for everyone to do the work on themselves, right? Do the work. What led you? What do you think led you? What do you think um, made you vulnerable to this kind of relationship? And I guarantee you, if you look in your history, there was something that that's there, right? Whether it's you saw your dad treating your mother a certain way, because we have to remember that domestic violence is a learned behavior.
right.
It is a learned behavior. And so, what that means is oftentimes that's why you'll see kids who grew up in domestic violence homes sadly will either become abusers and perpetrators or
Right,
they will become victims themselves because that's
absolutely.
what they saw.
And then also too, I want to piggyback too. Sometimes we have been through abandonment at a young age. So when we feel have abandonment, we don't understand why we feel empty. So then when we attract this person to us, it's like we're bait. We don't know it because they're like, oh, you feel like nobody loves you, or you feel like people keep leaving you. Oh, let me show you that I'm such just amazing and great guy.
Yes. Hmm.
And that's what they do. And I know I've been saying men, guys, but I also know too there are some ladies out there who are very abusive, and I know there are some men out there who are quiet about it. So it goes both hands. And what the saddest part is that when it gets to the children, you know what I'm saying? And then at this time, again, it's making me think because all of us are isolated because of COVID-19. Now, the child has to be home with their abuser 24/7. Can we imagine how that child felt and that woman? And now they have to be on their P's and Q's because they don't want to upset them. And listen, I'm just going to intervene right now. If you know someone that is in this situation, please speak up. And before this show is over, I will give the domestic violence hotline number. So if you feel like you need to utilize it and you need the help, I would definitely provide that. So Chandra, before we wrap anything up, is there anything else you would like to tell the audience?
I guess I would just like to say to the victims, the women and men, because you're right, it's not just women who are living with this. I guess I would just like to say to the victims that are currently going or living with domestic violence right now, that despite what you have been conditioned to believe about yourself, despite the fact that you may feel guilty, that you may feel ashamed, that you may feel all these things about yourself, that it is not true, and that you are not the one with the problem, right? A lot of times the abuser will make the victim feel crazy or make them feel a certain way. Their whole purpose is to gain power and control and to destroy the victim's self-esteem. And so I want to encourage you to know that there's nothing wrong with you, right? There is nothing wrong with you. Utilize your resources, right? Do not let the victim isolate you from your resources. Now, your resources are family, friends, loved ones, those in your circle who are there for you, right? That's what the abuser wants. So, number one, change your mindset about what you believe about yourself, because I know your self-esteem has been chipped away slowly by the abuser. Change your mindset. You are worthy of living a better life. It's not your fault. You don't deserve this. You are better than this. And know that with a proper exit plan, your life can be drastically changed. You can live a better life. And there are resources for you, which you'll mention at the end of the show, the hotline. But there is help. And know that if just one other person has gotten through this and survived this, that you can too.
Thank you so much, Chandra. I appreciate those closing words. Again, ladies, I hope you took heed to this whole show. And again, if for any anonymous and confidential help, it's available 24/7 by calling the National Domestic Hotline at 1-800-799-7233. And for the TTY users, 1-800-787-3224. Chandra, it has been a pleasure speaking with you. If the people wanted to reach out to you, how can they reach you?
Sure. I am on Twitter and Facebook at Chandra B. Payne. That's Chandra B. Payne. Excuse me, I think I said Twitter. I am on Instagram and Facebook at Chandra B. Payne.
Right.
And you can also reach me on my website at www.chandrabpayne. Again, that's www.chandrabpayne. You're also welcome to email me at chandra.bpayne@gmail.com.
Thank you, Chandra. And again, ladies, you already know my contact. I'm Lady K Chat on Facebook and Instagram. And you can always visit my website at www.LadyKEnterprises.inc. Miss Chandra Payne and myself have give you a phenomenal amount of information and resources. If you don't feel like you want to contact the hotline and you want to contact us, as you can see, we made ourselves available. But I just thank you and appreciate everyone who's tuning in. God bless you. Continue to stay safe. And we'll see you next time. Have a great night.